see that the number is I see that the number of attendees is growing as the minutes pass. So it's really, really great to see all of you taking the time out of your evenings to join us to learn more about reflective learning and what your students or your children may be doing at school this year. I'm just going to give everybody a minute or two before I get started, as I see that the number is changing as I'm speaking. But yeah, other than that, let's get sorted. I just want to check in with my team, just making sure that everybody can see the screen in front of me. Just a thumbs up would be great.
We can see and hear you, Tennille.
Thank you so much. Okay, great. Let's get started. So first things first, my name is Tennille. I work at Reflective Learning. I am one of the school success managers. So essentially, what I do every day is work with schools to ensure that we are striving for impact and success with regards to reflective learning and making sure that we are closing as many gaps as possible for your children. In terms of the purpose of the session that we're going to go through today, I'm going to take a little bit of a walk around reflective learning, what we are, what we do, why we do what we do, and then take you through the student application to show you what your students are doing as well. And then I'll also touch on what exactly it is that you as a parent can do, what your role is in reflective learning. But for now, I'm going to start with the presentation. So just give me a second and we'll get into it. So what we're looking at currently is pretty much a study that one of our co-founders, Tracy Butchart, did in 2019. And essentially what this shows is the average student in South Africa. If we take a look on the left, the maths graph, we can see that students in grade 5 are essentially three years behind in their conceptual understanding. And if we take a look at the blue line at the top of the graph, we expect that students would improve by 1 year of understanding as they move through the various grades. But what we can see with the purple line at the bottom, we can see that this isn't the case. These gaps are compounding upon one another. They're turning into bigger backlogs, and essentially students that reach matric are actually at a grade 6 level. And so that is where reflective learning comes into play. We want to identify these gaps and help students catch these up. If we take a look at the right-hand side at the English graph, very, very similar picture. Students in grade 5 are starting with 2 years behind in their conceptual understanding. And as they move through the various grades, again, these gaps are compounding upon one another. And the result is the average student in matric is actually 5 years behind in their conceptual understanding when it comes to English. And obviously, when it comes to English itself, just in terms of the nature of the language, this then bleeds into the other subjects that the students are doing. If I'm not able to read for meaning, I'm going to have a little bit of trouble when I am going through my history, for example. So these gaps prevent students from learning new work, and they become convinced that they're not able to do the work, and if eventually their motivation starts to decline in terms of their learning. Now that we've taken a look at the average student in South Africa, now I want to focus on what exactly is the problem that reflective learning looks to solve. So the first thing is we focus on conceptual understanding. So we focus on the foundations in terms of conceptual understanding. We are not curriculum focused, and we're also not fluency focused. So when I say conceptual understanding, what I am referring to here is a deep understanding of the concept beyond just memorizing patterns or isolated facts. It's when we not only know what something is, but we also understand how and why it works, and also how it relates to other concepts that we've learned. So, for example, in maths, the student with conceptual understanding doesn't just memorize the formulas or the patterns, but also understands the concepts behind these formulas, why they work, how they relate to one another, how many concepts do you use within a particular problem. And in language, a little bit different, but essentially understanding the rules in terms of grammar and how they shape the meaning rather than just memorizing language or vocabulary or sentence structures. So it's really about the big picture, and how all of the concepts fit together and how they are able to apply these concepts in different situations in different contexts. Then, in terms of catching up the gaps, what we're referring to over here is mislearning. What's important to note is that everybody has these gaps. I have these gaps, you have these gaps, university professors have these gaps. It's not possible for any of us as humans to retain 100% of the information that we learn in the classroom, and it's really nobody's fault. So if we think about it, I know when I was in high school, or when you were in school, something as small as going to the bathroom during the wrong time, or being sick and absent from school, or being really excited about the soccer game or the netball game that's happening after school and just not being able to focus in class on that particular day. So it can happen for any reason. There's lots of different ways in which the mislearning can occur. Then, just in terms of when we are looking at catching up these gaps, if the student or if a child is able to show that they have already mastered a concept, that is completely amazing. We won't teach it to them then. We only focus on the gaps that the students have. We also want to build student confidence. So a very easy example for me to just depict how we are wanting this to affect students is there's been many a time where I've entered into a school environment and seen students that are very distracted, don't really want to learn the subject that they are learning, and are just disruptive, and not wanting to engage. Then I've gone back to that same school a couple of weeks or a month later, and I've seen a complete change or a complete 180 in those students. Those are the students that actually want to run up to me in the classroom and want to tell me all about the new concepts that they've learned and how many gaps they've closed and how many trophies they've earned on the program. And that the teachers have then given the feedback of they are now really engaged students. They may still be working towards improving their marks at this point, but they now feel like they are capable of learning again. And so they become engaged students. They no longer are disruptive. They are adding on to what the teacher is teaching in the classroom. And so it's really, really important that there is a focus on building student confidence. And so that is why we focus on that as well. Then in terms of developing metacognition, so this is pretty much the pedagogy that is in our program. It's built into the bones of the program. Metacognition essentially is thinking about your own thinking. It's being aware about how we learn, how we understand, how we solve problems, and then using that thinking or that awareness about how we learn to improve the way that we think and learn. So we want to give students the opportunity to evaluate their own learning, by understanding exactly what they currently know, so what they're coming in knowing, what they've already mastered versus what they don't know and what they still need to know, which gaps they need to close. And then this has been identified as one of the best ways to learn, and students are able to apply this to any other topic, as this is one of the best ways to learn any topic. Then, just in terms of the goal behind this is that we're essentially wanting to create lifelong learners. And we do that by being able to teach each student the skill of learning through the program of reflective learning. Okay, so now that we've taken a little bit of a look at the average student in South Africa, we've taken a look at the problem that we look to solve. Now I'm going to take a look at the learning cycle that we use on the program. So essentially, the first step is that students need to assess what the current state is. So we have assessments on our program that are able to pinpoint exactly where students' gaps are all the way back into their education. So whether they are a grade 6 student or they are a grade 9 student, they will be able to do the assessment on the program, the assessments on the program, and these will be able to pinpoint the last point of understanding for each of these students on each of the different concepts. The program is only there to see exactly what it needs to teach each student. So it's important for them to know that it's not about what they get right and it's not about what they got wrong. It's completely between them and the program so that the program can assist them with their individual needs. Then once the student has completed going through the assessment in that particular topic, they are then prompted to do the catch-up. Now, the catch-up is essentially the lesson content behind the teaching. So these are, again, personalized to each student's gaps, but they are interactive. They are short lessons that the students are able to engage with and learn from so that they can then demonstrate their newfound mastery. Once they've completed going through all of the concepts within that particular topic, they are then reassessed and they are able to now show, have I found new mastery on these concepts or have I not yet learned anything? If a student is not able to show new mastery in a reassessment, or maybe they only show mastery for one or two of the concepts that they had gaps on, that's perfectly fine. All that the program will then do is prompt them to go through the learning cycle again. So each time the students go through the learning cycle, the hope is that the assessment will get shorter, the catch-up will get shorter, because each time they go through that cycle, they're closing up a few gaps each time. And so eventually, as they move through these different topics, what we call them journeys on the program, as they move through the different journeys, they will be able to close all of their gaps in each of those journeys and have full mastery when it comes to that particular topic. Okay. Then just in terms of the targeted teaching, so again, it's extremely efficient. So we are not going to be looking at what the students don't know. We're only looking at what they have a gap in, and we only focus on that. So it's very efficient for students, and it's very, very easy for them to follow along because it's the same cycle each time. And then also just in terms of how it is scaffolded. So every part of the program is very intentional in terms of the order. We are always starting with the simple concepts and then moving on to the complex ones. Just to give you a little bit of an example, in our maths program, we have our first journey, which is called numbers. Numbers is pretty much all of the basic concepts in maths. And even within that particular journey, we start with concepts like counting numbers, place value. And then we move on to a little bit more complicated ones when it comes to multiplying, dividing, and then adding and subtracting before those two. So it follows a very, very special, very intentional order. And the reason for that is we're consistently starting with the foundations and then building the students up from there. The students also do have access to clear goals and the expectations of them as they move through the program. They have feedback with each step that they're going through the learning cycle. And so they're always able to have access to their own progress. It is also explicitly instructed, so the students are able to independently go through the program with motivation, guidance, and assistance from their teachers and from their parents, but they are able to move through the program. There isn't any assigning that anybody needs to be doing for the students. They are able to close their gaps on their own and they will follow their own journey. So no two children are going to have the same journey on the program because it's only going to be looking at the gaps that each student has. Then just in terms of which subjects are we looking at? So some of our schools will use maths, some of our schools will use English, some of our schools will use both. And so when I'm referring to this, these are the gateway subjects. We know that without a very good understanding in these subjects, learning in other subjects is limited. And just a quick example on why that is the way that it is that if you think about it, the basic concepts of maths are very important when it comes to subjects like science and accounting. And very similar to English is that if you aren't able to really understand English and the way in which it works and how we use it, students are going to struggle when it comes to subjects like history or geography, when they have to explain their arguments, when they have to understand the question that's being asked of them. So when it comes to maths, again, we focus on conceptual understanding. We want to give learners the tools that they need to learn maths in the classroom. So we want them to be able to effectively learn from their teachers. A nice example that we usually use with teachers when we are doing training with them is that, especially in grade 8, students come from various different schools, and so every student has a different experience, a different teacher, a different way of teaching. And so when students get to the point of grade 8 teachers are needing to teach the current curriculum to all of these students in their classroom, which have very different educational journeys. And so to be able to have a program such as reflective learning to assist with having everybody have the same start or the same level of understanding is very, very good for a teacher, because they are then able to effectively teach the current curriculum, knowing that it's going to land with each of those students, regardless of the fact that they all came from different schools and had different teachers who had different ways of teaching, and through their various educational careers in primary school. And so that's not only limited to grade 8 teachers, that happens with teachers every single year, because students are passed on from one to the next. So it really is beneficial to students to be able to have all of the tools so that they can learn from their current teacher. Then when it comes to English, we are focusing on effective communication, deeper comprehension, and the ability to read for meaning. And this is in a visual, oral, and written context. And then we also take a look at language structure, which focuses on grammar, etc., on the program as well. So just in terms of our maths subject, we have looked at multiple different curriculars in terms of maths, and we've identified these concepts as the basics to learn any curriculum effectively. So if you think about it, we're essentially giving students a toolbox of maths concepts so that they can go out into the classroom and be able to learn anything from their teacher, and also be able to tackle any problem that's put in front of them with the tools that they have available in their toolbox. Then when it comes to English, we want students to be able to communicate and comprehend the English language effectively so that they can learn in the best way possible. Okay, so now just a quick recap on what we've covered so far. I know it's a lot of information. So the main aim of our program is to identify and close gaps. We want to build student confidence, and we also want to show the value of the program or of their learning to them as well. Just to touch on that a little bit. I know that I've definitely experienced a moment where I've been sitting in a classroom environment, and your teacher starts talking about a new topic, and immediately you go blank. You get anxiety because you have never heard the words that are coming out of your teacher's mouth, but you know that you should. And everybody around you in the classroom also looks like they are completely on track with what is happening in the classroom. And so, do I say something? Do I keep quiet? Which leads to even more of a feeling of feeling confused and being anxious and feeling lost. And so we want to take that worry away from students. We want them to be able to understand everything that is being taught to them, because they are able to connect this new information to information that they've learned previously in their previous grades. And so essentially what we want is strong foundations for each student. If you think about it like a Jenga tower, we love this analogy at Reflective Learning, but I'm sure you're all familiar with Jenga. Essentially, if you picture a Jenga tower and you remove a couple of blocks from the bottom of your tower, and we keep adding new blocks to the top each year, mind you, as we move through the different grades, eventually our tower is going to fall over and crumble. And that is essentially what trying to learn with gaps is. But what we want to do is plug in all of those gaps at the bottom, or fill in all of those missing blocks. And so each child has a very strong and tall tower so that they can add new information or new blocks onto that tower each year as they learn from their teachers. And then just in terms of the goal, so the goal is that students are spending at least 1 hour per week on the program. If you think about it like gym, we want students to be able to do this consistently. So it's not about putting in 5 hours just before exams or the week before exams. This needs to be a consistent effort throughout the year. So please encourage your children to log in to Reflective Learning and engage. What's nice about it is that it is a web-based application, and there's a very intentional reason for this. It's that students only need a smart device and internet connectivity to log into the platform. So they are able to do it in the classroom as they would be doing in most schools. Otherwise, they can do it when they're waiting for you to come and fetch them from school, after soccer practice maybe, or on the weekend when they are at grandma's house and using grandma's old computer. Any time that they are able to invest into their learning on the program is going to be beneficial, because that 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there is all going to contribute to this minimum 1 hour per week. And then just in terms of touching on what exactly is your role as parents into your child's learning on the program, we want you to be there to motivate them, encourage them, check in on them. How are things going? And you can also check their progress via our observer accounts, which I'll show you in a moment, where each of you will be able to access your own child's or your children's progress on the program throughout the year. And so we really encourage you to join in on this journey with your children, and we will be there every step of the way, and we hope that you will too. Now, just to touch on a little bit for the parents that are in the webinar that do not already have reflective learning, perhaps your child is not at a school that currently uses reflective learning, or perhaps you were told to join by one of your friends and you have no idea why you're here. Just know that we have various ways in which we are able to give students access to our program. Yes, we are able to do it through schools directly, but we also do have Reflect Plus, which is our option to do reflective learning at home, where you as parents are able to go to the link on the screen, our Reflect Plus website, scroll down, get started, fill in the form, and then you are able to use the discount code on the right-hand side to add to your checkout before you make payment. So we are currently offering 25% off any of our packages. I'll show you the packages in a moment. And this offer is valid until the 31st of March. So just in terms of our packages, as I explained, we are currently covering maths and English. So maths is sometimes referred to as Numerate. That is the new name for our maths program. And then Lingo is our English program. So here are the three options: either maths on its own, English on its own, or Lingo on its own, or both of them combined, which is the middle amount. So all of this information is on our website. There is also a QR code in the top left-hand corner. So if anybody would like to scan it right now to take a look, please feel free to do so. I'll pause for a moment so that you can get the QR code before I move on to the next slide. But yeah, it is available on the website that I showed you before. So you can just put Reflect Plus into google.co.za, and you'll be able to access that if you are wanting to sign your children up. Okay. Then I also just wanted to touch on something that's very exciting that's coming soon, that I think that you would actually know about it before your children know about it actually at this point, because we haven't actually yet sent this out to schools because it's still in a little bit. But essentially we run programs or we run competitions throughout the year for the students that use the program. And this is our competition that's coming up soon. So this particular one is aimed at individual students. Sometimes we have class competitions, sometimes we have grade competitions, sometimes we hold inter-school competitions. So this specific one, each child is able to enter individually by earning entries as displayed on the screen. Essentially, we are just tracking the learning that they do within a period of time. And this specifically is within a holiday period. It's the holidays coming up soon, in a month and a bit. So please encourage your children to use reflective learning when they are at home in the holiday period. And not only this holiday period, but the holiday periods throughout the year. When you are at home and you are on holiday, 15 minutes, 20 minutes of reflective learning, it's going to take out a tiny piece of the day, but it's going to have very, very positive, long-lasting effects on their learning. So please encourage them to make use of their holiday time by just using a few minutes a day to work on reflective learning. Okay, then just in terms of the support that you are able to get through reflective learning. So we do have a live chat function, which is available in our app, on our login page, on our website, and also on your Observer accounts. And our brilliant support team is able to assist you. They usually respond within 2 minutes or so. Obviously, it's different depending on when it's busy times of the day, but that's the general responding time. Then they are available from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. But do know that if you or your child messages the chat after 5 p.m., please let them know it's not a problem. It's nothing to worry about. It's just that the response will be a little bit delayed, as our support team will then respond the following morning once we are active again from 8 a.m. So please feel free to use the support channels. We are here to assist. We are not just a program. We want to kind of be with you and your children and the school every single step of the way, and pushing for as much impact and as much success on the program as possible. So yeah, I'm going to move over to the program, so that we can all take a look at what that looks like. So just give me a second so that I can swap over screens very quickly. Okay, so this is our login page. The way in which students log in is simply by using the username and password that has been provided to them. So generally at schools, we set up the accounts for each school, and they are able to give those details to the students. It depends whether or not each school has actual email addresses for the students. If the school does not have email addresses, we will then set the email or the usernames up on our end. But generally, it's a very easy username and password to remember. So yeah, I'm hearing a few chats coming through, so I just wanted to check. Okay, we're all good. Great. So I'm going to log in with my details, and let's have a look at what the program actually looks like. And then also just a pointer on how to find the login page. You are able to go to Google, put in reflective learning, and the first option that comes up, the one that starts with APP or app, that is the one that will give you the link to the login page, and your children will be able to use their login details, their username and password, to get into their program. Okay, so now I'm on the landing page, which is going to show us the subjects that I have assigned to me. So I'm going to have a look at maths for today. Just know that the English side looks exactly the same as the math side. The only difference is that instead of 7 learning journeys, there are 4 on the English side. But maths mirrors English, and there's a very important reason for that is we want the program to be as user-friendly and as easy to use as possible for the students to be able to navigate on their own. So essentially, these are the 7 journeys. This particular account, this is a little bit of added information, but this particular account is an account for a grade 8 or grade 9 student. We have different phases on reflective learning. So depending on which grade your child is currently in, this would change how many concepts are currently assigned to them in maths. And it will also change the level that your child is working towards. So this particular account is a grade 8-9 account. I'm looking to master 81 concepts at level 9 versus a child that is in grade 6 will only have 53 concepts and will be looking towards mastering those concepts at level 6 only. Okay, so I'm going to go into the assessment very quickly. I have already tried to go through all of the questions that I needed to answer, but I just wanted to give you all an understanding or a feel of what exactly the assessments look like on the program. So as the students log in, they will only have access to the first journey. And the reason for this is that you need to have a good understanding of the first journey or the concepts within the first journey before they are able to move on to the next. So again, I mentioned in the presentation that it is very scaffolded. And so this is what I'm referring to when I mean scaffolded. They are having to go from simple to complex, and we'll only let them move on to the next thing once the program is able to award them a bronze trophy, which means that they understand 75% of the concepts within that particular journey. Okay, so I have, let's just try and see if I can get through this particular assessment. So I have already answered some of the questions. I'm just going to get to the point where I can submit so that we can see my results on this assessment. Okay, no judgment, please. All right, so I'm going to submit my assessment, and you'll see that immediately I'm going to be able to see the results to my assessment. Let's see, I'm going to continue this task. That's just talking to me about my daily tasks that I need to get done for the day. But there are my results. I've done my assessment, I've submitted it now, and immediately I'm going to be able to see which level I'm on. So I am working towards a level 9. I'm currently on level 8. So I have one level that I need to catch up. Right, let's see how many concepts I've mastered. So there are 20 concepts within this journey. This particular journey is the numbers journey, the first journey out of the 7. And I have mastered 12 out of the 20 concepts that are in the numbers journey. So I've got 8 gaps that I need to close. So I'm going to click on next. And now I'm going to be prompted to go into my catch up to start learning. So let's have a look at what that looks like. Okay, so now where we are is the catch-up tree. So essentially, these are all of the concepts that sit within this particular journey of numbers, the first journey out of the 7. And what we can see over here by all of these different colors is which of these concepts do I have a gap on, and also how deep is that gap for that particular concept. So if we take a look at comparing numbers over here, I can see that it's flashing. So the program is indicating to me that this is where I need to get started. So that's where I'm going to click. I'm going to click on continue my catch up. And then we will see that the first thing that I need to do is analyze my results. So what these circles over here mean, we call them concentric circles. The innermost circle is the lowest level that I'm currently being assessed. So again, just a reminder that this is an account that a grade 8 or grade 9 student would see. For example, a grade 6 student or a grade 5 student would see different levels over here, but the students are always being tested on 3 levels. It just depends which levels they are, just depends on which grade they're currently in. Okay, so a grade 6 student, for example, their highest level would be level 6, so they would have level 1, 3, and 6 instead of 3, 6, and 9. But over here, I need to analyze my results when it comes to the concept of comparing numbers. So I am currently at a level 3. I've mastered this particular concept. At a level 6, I've also mastered this concept. So those are the 2 inner circles that I can see. And then now we get to the outer circle. I can see that for level 9, I have not yet mastered this particular concept. So my last point of understanding on comparing numbers is to a level 6. So I'm going to be needing to catch up the levels between 9 and 6. So I'm going to click on submit, and I am going to get started on my catch up. So now we'll be able to see exactly what that looks like. So we can see over here, these are the levels that have been assigned to me. If my gap was deeper, so if my last point of understanding was level 3, I would then have another bunch of catch up assigned to me over here, which would then cover levels can't even remember which one I said now, so sorry. But I would have more levels assigned to me over there. As we move through the catch-up, we'll see that there are various points of interactivity that the students would be able to fill in as they move through the catch-up. Please encourage your children to take notes. One thing that we really encourage is that each child has a reflective learning notebook. So if they are doing both subjects, they can do math from the front and English from the back. If they're just doing one of the subjects, they can do it as per normal. But it is really great to have all of the notes and all of the learning in one place, because as I move through this particular or the catch up, I'm actually only going to be reassessed once I reach the top of my catch up tree. So I'm just going to go back to my catch up tree very quickly by clicking on numbers, so that I can explain to you what I mean by when that reassessment is going to be triggered. So I was busy with this particular concept over here. I'm going to move on to this one after that. I will skip these 2 because I don't have a gap on those ones. I'll skip that one too. This is the next one that I'll move to, and I'll go and learn a little bit over there. Then I'll move into that one, and I'll go all the way until I reach the top of my concept tree, and this is when a reassessment would be triggered once I've gone through all of the catch up that's been assigned to me in a particular journey. Then the other thing that's really important to note, which you can assist your children with just in terms of understanding the catch-up tree, one of the biggest misconceptions about the catch-up tree specifically is that once I go through this particular concept over here, having a look at all of these colors, once students go through just going through the catch-up, and they come back to the catch-up tree, they expect that the colors are going to change color. So that this red ring will turn green because I went through the catch-up. Just a reminder that these colors will only change once a student or once your child has shown that they have been able to master this particular concept. And they'll only be able to do that once they've triggered a reassessment. So again, they'll only have the opportunity to change the colors on their catch-up tree once that reassessment is triggered at the top of their concept tree. So that's what the catch up is all about, and that's that learning cycle that I was referring to. We did the assessment, now we're going through the learning, and then we'll do the reassessment again. The hope is that I'll close up one of these or some of these 8 gaps that I have when I trigger that reassessment, and then I'll only have maybe 4 gaps left that I'll come through again and go through just those 4 that I still haven't mastered, and then I'll have the opportunity to do the reassessment again. And so each time we're hoping that the amount of catch up that a student has gets less and less and less, and also that the reassessment that the students do gets shorter and shorter and shorter each time they go through that learning cycle. Then, once I'm able to understand or show that I understand at least 75% of the concepts within the journey of numbers, that is when I'll be able to earn my trophy, my first trophy, which would be a bronze trophy, which represents 75% understanding, or I'll be able to earn my silver trophy, which represents 90% of my understanding. And then the ultimate goal is to have a gold trophy in one of my journeys, or in all of my journeys, actually. And that means that I don't have any gaps in that particular journey. Okay. So over here, once I've earned a trophy over there, I then will be able to unlock my next journey. And that is how I'll be able to move into the various journeys. We do also have one of our new features that have been added, which is our daily task feature, which is there to keep students focused and give them a sense of accomplishment. So sorry about that, everybody. I seem to have gotten kicked out, but we're all good. Let's get sharing again. Okay, so as I was mentioning over here, our daily task feature that has been launched recently, which is there to assist students with staying focused and making consistent efforts every time they log in or every time they have a session of reflective learning. And we also do have practice games available on our program in the math side. So when a student has completed their daily task for the day, they will be able to play the games that are available for them to play over there. Then the other thing that your children may get very excited for is the avatars that we have on the program, which essentially is a bit of a reward program that we've got on reflective learning. Is that students are able to earn gems based on their positive learning behaviors. So when I completed the assessment that I showed you at the beginning when I logged in, I was rewarded with 200 gems because I completed the assessment, not because of how much mastery I was able to show, simply because I put in the effort to submit my assessment. And so as the students move through the program, all of the efforts in terms of the positive learning behaviors that they have on the program, they will be rewarded in terms of gems for that. And then they're able to go into our shop and they're able to modify their avatar. And some of the students, or actually most of the students, get very, very enthusiastic with their avatars. So if you see them, or if they come and run to tell you how crazy their avatar looks or how cool their avatar looks, please encourage that, because you know that the only way that they made their avatar look like that is because they've made an effort into earning those gems, and they only could have done that by positive learning behaviors, not about what they got right or what they got wrong. Then just in terms of how the students are able to always see their progress on the program, if they click on one of these options at the top, either the circles or on the trophy, they're able to see exactly where they are currently sitting in their learning journey in that particular journey. And they're able to see for each of the concepts which level they have currently achieved and which ones they still have some gaps to close. So it will tell them exactly what their next goal is, how many more concepts they need to master before their next trophy. So it's very empowering for the students to be able to see where they are currently at with each of these concepts over here. And you can do the exact same thing with the trophy. So if I give this a click, I'll get to that same picture, but the students are able to see at a very quick look which journeys they have a trophy in and which ones they don't. Then, as I mentioned earlier, in terms of support, this is our chat widget. You can see that they're currently offline because it is after 5 o'clock, but you can see that I am able to add in my query over here, and then I will get a response tomorrow morning. Otherwise, if this was prior to 5 o'clock, I should get a response within 1 or 2 minutes. And then in terms of the observer accounts that I urge every single one of you to set up after the session is when your child has logged into their account, all we need to do is go to the menu bar in the top right hand corner, give that a click on add observer, add in your name, your email, and your relationship to your child. Whether that be a tutor, a guardian, or a sibling, or a parent, you can add that in over there. And then you will get an email to your inbox where you'll be able to set up your account for your observer account, and you'll be able to log in and check on your child's progress throughout the year. So I've actually logged into one of my observer accounts so that I can give you a bit of insight into what you'll be able to see about your child throughout the year. So I'm just going to switch tabs again very quickly. Okay, so I actually have fur babies only. So I'm currently only a parent to myself, it seems, over here, and one person. And I do not have this many children, but I'm going to be taking a click. Let's give a click to the first one. So let's have a look at what this looks like. So for Tennille, who is currently in grade 9, I can see that Tennille has only done her first assessment in maths, and I am able to then see exactly which gaps that Tennille has. So I can click on view details. I can see the same thing that the students are able to see on their end without having to log into my child's account. I can see improvement. I can see activity. So I can see exactly which days they logged in, how long they were on the program, how many tasks they completed, etc. How much time they were spending on the practice games or what they were able to achieve. So all the different things that the students are able to do on the program, I am able to track this on my end as a parent. Again, if your child is doing maths and English or just English, you will also be able to see that over here. And then before I move back onto the presentation, I think it's only fair that we take a quick glimpse at what the English program looks like, so that you can just get a visual on that, since I have spoken about it quite a bit throughout the session. But again, here it is. Essentially, it is a very, very clear mirror of the maths program. So we can see the 4 journeys again over here: visual communication, oral comprehension, written comprehension, and language structure. And everything looks exactly the same. I haven't yet done an assessment in English, but if I had, it would tell me how many gaps I have in the first journey when I do that assessment. I can track how many trophies I have in these journeys. Everything is pretty much the same in terms of the different subjects. Now I'm going to swap back to the presentation, and I think let's open the floor up to any questions that everybody may have. But I just want to leave everybody with this little bit of, with this little prompt, is just what do you think that you can do to support your child's reflective learning journey? And whether that is setting a goal for yourself to check in once a week with your child, maybe having a look at your observer account once a week to check in on your child. What is it that you would like to do to support your child as they progress through reflective learning this year? Okay, so I'm going to take a quick look at the chat to see what everybody has been saying throughout the session, because I wasn't able to take a look while I was presenting. But let's see if there are any questions that need assistance still. I see that there is a question for Acadeo Protea North. I think that Nepi would like to join, or is asking if the school has paid for this. So there we go. You've got your answer from Lauren. Lauren is your school success manager, so she'll be able to advise what Acadeo is currently doing. Okay, Trish, you've logged in as an observer, but you don't see anything on the dashboard. I would say, so did you follow the steps from the program in terms of setting up your observer account for the child that is currently using reflective learning this year? If you aren't seeing anything, it is also possible that your child hasn't yet logged in, unless you know that your child has logged in specifically. If you have, I would advise to message the support chat if you know that your child has already started using the program at school, because the only thing that I can think of in terms of why you haven't seen anything on the dashboard yet is perhaps they haven't yet started, so there isn't anything to show. Lawrence, oh, okay. I think Nepi's got their question answered, so that's great. How often should my child do this to be able to cover all gaps for the year? Which is from Vera. Thank you so much for that question, Vera. That is a very, very complicated or difficult question to answer because it completely depends on each child. So when I went through the program, I did the initial assessment in numbers. And so in numbers, I had 8 gaps. So for me, it would probably take me maybe a week to go through those 8 concepts, and then I'll be able to do my reassessment. And if I show that I've mastered all of those concepts in the first time that I went through those 8 concepts, then I can show the program that I've mastered those concepts and I won't have to do them again. But if I didn't take notes and I didn't actually focus on what I was trying to learn and try to master those concepts while going through my catch-up, when I get to my reassessment, because I'm only going to be reassessed once I reach the top of my concept tree after going through all 8 of those gaps, if I wasn't paying attention while I was going through my catch-up, chances are I'm probably not going to be able to show mastery for all 8 of those concepts. So then I'm going to need to go through that learning cycle again. So when it comes to how often, again, our recommendation at Reflective Learning is a minimum of an hour a week. That can be broken up into smaller sessions throughout the week, 20 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, as long as we are aiming towards 1 hour for the entire week. But it's very difficult to say how often a child should log in within a year to close all of their gaps. We see that with 1 hour, students are able to close or are able to gain at least 3 to 4 levels of understanding. So it really depends on how many gaps each child has, but a student should be able to close all the gaps that they have if they are able to put in an hour every week. Maybe they'll be able to finish before the end of the year if they put in an hour every week as well. Okay, Trish said that the observer question is for Spark Rampart Ridge. Hi Trish, Spark Rampart Ridge has definitely started already. So you definitely should be able to see the Observer account or your child's information on the Observer account. So I think that the best thing for you is to probably use the support chat. Maybe we need to make your account again. Depending on what grade your child is in as well, they may have already started using the program last year. So maybe you already had an Observer account. I don't know. We will just need to look into it. So please send us your details on the support chat so that our support team can look into that for you. I'm just taking a look into what happens if a student uses more than 1 hour a week. Then that's amazing. Please encourage them to spend as much time on the program as they can within a week. The 1 hour is a minimum that we are aiming for. That is by no means all that they can do on the program. Please encourage them. If they want to spend 3 hours on the program every week, they are more than welcome to do that. So thank you so much for that question. It allowed me to clarify that a little bit more for everybody. Has Spark Ramberg High paid for this resource, and is it accessible at home as well? Spark Ramberg High has already paid for this resource, yes. So all of the Spark schools have access to reflective learning from grade 4 to from grade 5 to grade 9. No, it is from grade 4 to grade 9. So there's no extra payment for you as a parent of a Spark high school or a primary school. And yes, it is accessible at home as long as your child has access to a smart device and internet connection. They are able to log in via the website login page. Justin seems to also have a problem with his Observer account. Marissa is asking, how do you get an Observer account? Marissa, you would need to log into your child's account. So chat to your child about their account. Once they've logged in for you, in the top right-hand corner, there is a burger menu bar. You can click on Add Observer over there, and then you'll be able to add in your email and your name, and then you will get an email to your account, your email account, and you'll be able to set up your Observer account from that email. You get a link. Utsile has a question about Spark Teresa Park. Your child already would have access to reflective learning if they are in grade 4, or grade 5, or grade 6, or grade 7 at Spark Teresa Park. Yes, it is on a website, Jody. It is oh, Jody's found that, so she's good. But back to Utsile's question. Your child will already have access if they're at Spark Teresa Park. So ask your child about their login details, or advise them that they can work on the program at home as well, and then you are able to get their login details for them from them and get them logged in and get them learning at home. Hi, does the program cover for grade R's? Great question. So we target students from grade 5 to grade 9, technically, but it is valuable to students in grade 10, 11, and 12 as well. Anybody that needs to close up the gaps, it is valuable to them. However, we do not recommend using our program for students grade 3 and below. Reason being is that we focus on closing conceptual understanding gaps, and we just feel that those are still very foundational ages, especially grade R, and they haven't yet learned enough to have a gap or to deem something as a gap. They're still learning the foundations, so they haven't really had the opportunity to create a gap yet, or have a gap created. So I would say if you do have children that are in grade R currently, or in grade 1, grade 2, give them a little bit of time to learn more. And then once they are in grade 4, grade 5, that is when we recommend that you start with the program. And so most of our schools usually start at around grade 4, grade 5. Okay, is there guidelines available for first-time users? Hi, Sonia. I'm not too sure what is meant by guidelines specifically in terms of first-time users. The students, they have access to orientation as they start using the program. The teachers are also provided with an onboarding from our end, so they are all able to kind of get up and running as they start using the program. But in terms of guidelines, I'm not too sure exactly what you mean by that. If it's for the Observer account, we do have an Observer account guide that we can share with everybody. But in terms of guidelines to use our program and our Observer account are generally very user friendly. So if you do have any trouble, I would advise reach out to the live chat and they'll be able to assist you with navigating anywhere that you'd like. Yeah. Okay. So once again, thank you everybody for attending today. Oh, the Observer account guide. Sonia has responded. Okay, yeah, we do have one of those. I'd say reach out to the live chat, ask for that, and we'll be able to send it through to you. Just let them know what you're looking for, and then we'll be able to send that through to you. Okay, so thank you so much to everybody for joining this evening on this lovely Thursday evening. Hope you all have a very nice Valentine's Day tomorrow and a good Friday. And we're really looking forward to all of the gaps we're able to close working with your students this year. And again, any questions you have, please feel free to reach out to us. Our support chat is available to you. You are also able to ask questions to your schools if they are using the program at school. And also, don't forget to chat, encourage, and motivate your children in terms of their learning. We're really excited to get started on this learning journey with them. Okay. Have a lovely evening, everybody. Thanks so much. Bye.